your due season is not the same as anyone else. So let's stop comparing. We got to look at ourselves in the mirror and do an evaluation. Whatever it is, I want to encourage you. Don't lose your patience with God. He has a plan. And if He promised you something, He will bring it to pass. Be encouraged. God's got stuff for you with your name on it. You've got access to it. It'll have your fingerprint. It will belong to you. You don't have to look for or desire anybody else's stuff. And what's inside of you, I promise you, it is filled with greatness and with purpose. And you know what? When this season of challenges is over, you'll look back at what your pain has produced, and it will all be worth it. Good evening. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 7. I cannot believe it. I can't believe we've done 6 of these already, but welcome to episode 7 of Hope Talks. I'm so excited about it. Thank you so much for joining, for tuning in, whether you're watching live or you're watching the replay. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for sharing these messages. Thank you for talking about it. Thank you for participating. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for getting a copy of my book, A Pocket Full of Hope, my very first book ever. That is what inspired these Hope Talk sessions. And we have been having a wonderful time. We've had testimonies, we've had laughter, we've had tears. And we are going to continue tonight with my very, very special guest, my good sister, friend, girlfriend, Tricia Wright. I'm going to introduce her and then she's going to come on in the room. I'm so happy that she is here. Let me tell you a little bit about Tricia. Tricia has an infectious enthusiasm for Jesus, people, pretty things, and clever words. Oh, and for good food too. She was once referred to as the gatherer of people around a table because of her love for cooking and sharing meals with others. That is exactly Trish. She's married to Robert and they have 2 teenage sons, Isaiah and Noah, and a family dog, which I still can't get over the fact that she has a dog named Duke. The fact that Trish has included her dog in her bio is amazing to me. Okay. Tricia is on staff at Aurora Cornerstone Church as a pastor of creative ministries and church life ministries. She's also the resource development director at Urban Promise Toronto, which is a faith-based charity in Toronto that serves Toronto community housing neighborhoods. She is the founder and brain power behind 100 Black Parents Who Care, and you'll hear a little bit more about that later on. It's an organization geared towards raising funds for Black charities. I am so excited to have Trish here with us tonight. She came all the way to our home. Come on in the room, Trish. Woo! I love you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. And thank you for, as we've said, changing up the game this evening because we're usually virtual with all of our guests. But Tricia is here. She's in our home and we are so happy to have her. We're going to get right into our talk, right? Okay. So I want to ask you a few questions. We're talking about hope. We're talking about faith. We're talking about trusting God. Do you remember what the earliest faith experience was for you? Like when you first learned about trusting God?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think growing up in my home, it was like my parents really did a lot to affirm our faith at a young age. You know, there were things that they would gather us. We were one of those families that had family meetings like often.
Yes.
Like maybe weekly. And in those meetings, they would talk about things that we probably needed to pray for as a family or whatever that might look like. So I think from very young, but I think the one thing I remember is my sister, Eddie Marie, she was younger. She had scoliosis. And as a family, we were really praying that she would be healed. I think she had her surgery when she was 13. So she went into Sick Kids Hospital and we were 100% sure. Like there were prayer meetings, like the entire church, we were sure she was going to be healed. We were like looking forward to getting to the hospital, going to, the surgical room, and then the doctor coming out and saying, hey, she doesn't need it anymore.
Yeah.
And so I think that was the first sort of experience that I had really trying to have faith on my own. But she wasn't healed.
Right.
She still had to get the surgery. She has like a metal rod in her spine up to today. And so that was a big blow for the entire family because we were 100% sure. We had prayed for homes in the past. I remember my parents one time before we were moving into 12A, they saw the home and they were like, okay, guys, we're going to go. This is going to be our next home. And like every Sunday we would drive on that street and we would pray for the home as a family. We'd be like, that's going to be ours. And we would pray and we would all believe, and we got the home. So that was the first time where it was really like, oh my goodness, God, we all had faith that you were going to do this,
and
but you didn't.
Right.
And so that was my first memory of,
kind of like a faith that didn't turn out the way you expected it to.
Yeah.
And so how do you recover from that? Like, how does your brain then interpret that so that you would not like stop praying or stop having faith in God?
Yeah. I feel like lucky for me, I don't know if it's lucky, but I was also pregnant. I also found out I was pregnant with Isaiah around that same time. So I think that sort of took a bit of the pressure off and a bit of the attention off the fact that here is a prayer that wasn't answered because I didn't have to focus on it that much. And I think also as a family, we were all like, okay, now she's into recovery and we all as a family have to like be with her through this healing journey.
Right.
And so thinking back, I feel like maybe none of us processed it right away because it was sort of like, okay, great, it didn't work. So let's go. We got to do something else. So
yeah. I think that's amazing because I think about you and I think about your family, that story that you just told. And when I try to like play back in my mind what I know about you, what I've always known about you is you and your family kind of make faith look easy. And I know it's not necessarily that you haven't had trials because clearly you have. You just told us about one. And for some reason, you all have made faith look easy. And I don't know if that's because you are such a close-knit family. I don't know. What do you think that is?
I don't know. I feel like maybe it is a bit of that. But I think at the end of it, I just think about my mom. Like it's always like, even if God doesn't do it, he's still good. Right? Yes. There's so much that we could, just even being alive to face that disappointment, that's a good thing, right? Because you could not be here to like experience, even if despite the situations, he's still a good God. And like, I think just his goodness, I feel like that's it.
I love that. Even being alive to experience disappointments is a blessing. Like the fact that we experience disappointments is a blessing because it could be otherwise. I love that. Thank you so much. So, you talked about your parents already. Would you say that they were your main examples of faith? Or was there anyone else? Or was it really, you know that now, even in raising your kids, that you have to kind of be intentional in teaching them about faith, right? So would you say your parents were your biggest examples?
I would say definitely. I think definitely my parents and family, and I think it's just as a result of the family I grew up in. Like family was always just so huge. Like we did everything. Like family was our first friends, like all of these things. And so I think family and like aunts and uncles, I think they were probably my first examples of what true faith is.
True faith. Yeah. That is amazing. Okay, so now we're going to fast forward, and I want you to share with the audience what we kind of feel like was a big hurdle for you, a challenge for you in your faith walk when you lost your job.
Yeah. And, I think back to what you said just now, Ayesha, and you were like, it seems like if faith has always been easy for your family. And I think that's why this next thing of me losing my job was such a huge blow,
Yeah.
because we were really blessed. I think just looking at my life, it was a real blessing in
Yeah.
many different ways. Just having jobs and working in places and then being like promoted or pulled out of those positions to go with somebody I was reporting up to start something new. So it was always like, I don't think I've ever really done a job interview. Like there were all these things that thinking back, it was like, and we've had this conversation, it's like, I don't even know how to write a resume because it's always so blessed. And so in this particular situation, and I'd never forget it because I think the October before I had a dream, and I think I told you about the dream. It was a dream where, and I'm not a dreamer, I don't remember my dreams. So I had a dream where there was just like massive destruction everywhere. And one of our nannies came to take Noah and, just sort of took him, spent the day with him, and she never brought him back. And so we're like, okay, it's getting late. We need to go find Noah. Leave an apartment building. We weren't even living in an apartment at that time. And there's like total like chaos, like bombs, like Molotov cocktails, like what I would think was a war zone.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing it and turning the other direction and just going ahead looking for Noah.
Yeah.
Right. Fast forward 3 months, tucking Noah into bed. And he's like, Mom, I'm really praying you work from home soon. I was working downtown Toronto. So early mornings, late nights, like it was a hectic job. Mom, I'm really praying you work from home soon. I'm tucking him into bed. And I'm like, oh, Noah, you have no idea what you're praying for.
Right.
And so the following, actually, no, that was Tuesday. I want to say that Thursday, I get into the office, had this big presentation, and I got there early to prep, and they call me in, which wasn't unusual because, not that I got into trouble. It was just like we were talking in the office.
Right.
And so it wasn't unusual that they called me in. So, and then I got my papers, and it was really shocking because it was like the first time it's ever happened, right?
Yeah.
And, the agency I was with, Target was their major client. Target was pulling out of Canada. So there was no way they could like realistically sustain employing everyone. And so it was big. It was like, there's like all this feeling of why me? You kind of look very internal. It's not like, oh, this is something that's happening to like
everybody,
a big part of the business
group.
world, right? This is like they picked on me, and like there were several other sort of dismissals that day as well. But it was very like, oh, this is me, like why me? And that was how I felt. So I had to like compose myself. And I went and I sat in the car. I called Rob. I'm like, hey, Rob, this is what's happening. And his first thing was like, okay, come to my office. And then he was like, we have to tell Noah his prayer was answered.
Oh my goodness.
Right? That has ever happened to me. But it was an answered prayer from what Noah was praying.
Oh my goodness.
And so it's like, okay, how do you sort of wrap your head around this? And even in that moment, there were little things, like dumb little things. I shouldn't say dumb, but like my parking pass expired on that day. So God didn't even put me in an extra expense of getting another parking pass for downtown Toronto. It was like, okay, this is the last day of the parking pass, and you don't even have to go back. And so there were all these things that in hindsight, it was like, God, you're so cool. Thanks for working that out. But that was huge.
That was huge.
It was the first time, like I had no idea what to do with my time. I had no idea what to do with my days.
And I remember when you called me, and I remember it very well because when you called, I was actually in the car getting ready to go into my office at the time. And so I remember the phone call, and I remember thinking, oh my gosh, I think this is like the first like major thing since I've known you that you've actually dealt with. And I remember thinking, I honestly remember thinking, but you know what? You're going to get through this. And I think because when you called, you told me, but you already had like, oh, but I think this is what God is telling me, that you were kind of tagging on to the end of what you're saying. And so it was like, I was processing it as, oh my goodness, this is major. Oh, but God, And so I appreciate what you just said, that, your initial reaction was, why me? Why me?
Yeah.
And then Rob's initial reaction was, this is an answered prayer.
Yeah.
So
it's a prayer to Noah.
for Noah, right? Not for Rob, for Noah. Let's make that perfectly clear. Rob was not praying that you stop being that help meet. He was still, he wanted you to keep being that help meet the bills, right? So so it's all about perspective, right?
All about perspective.
You can look at it as, oh my goodness, I can't believe this has happened to me. Or you can look at it as, this is somebody's answered prayer. And what do I do with that now? How do I move forward with that now? And I know it's easy for us to say that, and you can't put that make that a blanket statement over everyone's situation, but I do think perspective
absolutely, and
is definitely blanket.
You really have to force yourself, because even in those days, Ayesha, I was so bored. No, it wasn't that I was bored at home. It was that I wasn't doing what I know I was created to do, And so now I had to do laundry, and it's like,
you weren't created to do laundry?
No, I was not created to do laundry. So now I had to do laundry. I had to do all these things that I didn't have to do for such a long time.
Right.
And so I don't know if you remember, but one of the things that I did, I started this Instagram handle called Tiny Pleasures, because they call me Tiny. And so it was called Tiny Pleasures. And everything that I didn't like, I would be thankful. So it would be like, thankful for laundry. It means my kids have clothes. Thankful for the shoes.
I remember when you tried that on me, because I remember complaining about laundry one day, and you were like, but isn't it such a blessing that you have clothes? I was like, yes, it is.
Yeah, but it's really like, it's kind of like that David moment. David is telling his soul to bless the Lord.
Yeah.
Right?
At all times.
At all times. And it's like, I feel like we need to speak to ourselves. And sometimes it's like, I'm going to sit and I'm going to wallow for however long, but then I need to get up and I need to get going and I need to do things. Right. So that was it. And I think I was off for, it's unbelievable. It's so crazy how it worked out. I decided I wasn't going to intentionally look for work, because I thought, okay, God, here I am, been working, I didn't miss a lot of my kids' life, but I wasn't really there for a lot. They had nannies and whatnot, just because work was so hectic. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be present and just figure out what you want me to do. And I remember I got a call, and this person was like, hey, I saw your resume. Can we meet? He lived in Aurora. And I was like, yeah, sure. Great. And so I didn't send a thank you. I didn't send anything to him. I was just like, I'm just meeting you just because you want to meet. And he kept in touch with me once a month, saying, I'm really trying to get you into where I am. And I'm like, honestly, I don't really care, because I don't know what I want to do.
Right.
And so I think even in those moments where it's like, I intentionally said, I'm not going to move forward just yet. There were moments of frustration, right? Where it's like, okay, God, I'm taking this moment for you to tell me what I'm supposed to do, but I'm not hearing you.
Yeah.
Right? I wanted it very clear, right? And I wasn't hearing that. And so there were moments of frustration, but there were also moments where it was just like, I'm just going to wait and just going to see. Just kind of started volunteering at the church, right?
Yeah.
Just putting, those kids' rooms at church. It's like, how many crayons do we really need?
Right.
And how do crayons
right?
Because they're old and you need to throw them out. Anyway, so that's what I started to do. I was like, just
cleaning up the kids' classrooms, throwing out some crayons.
The crayons. And I just started doing that. And I think it was just as a time to spend the time and to let the time pass by. And I was sort of intentional in not doing much and it's like a series of events, but out of that I got even more involved with the church. I think pastor just saw different things in me that I didn't even see in myself, and he started talking to me about different opportunities at the church. So that's how I then got into ministry. It was really out of this, and I know we've had this conversation where I'm like, now that I look at my old journals, I grew up with you. I grew up with so many churched kids, and I wasn't necessarily that mold.
Right.
We'll
just say we were a little surprised, but just a little surprised. But yeah.
Right. And so, but seeing it and reading old journals, it's like, man, God, I feel like this was always your plan for me.
Yeah.
But somehow I got distracted,
Yeah.
right? And I
Yeah.
sort of went down the wrong path. And I remember like having these conversations with you saying, what have I missed?
Mhm.
Imagine if I was in this from like young,
Yeah.
right? How much could I have done? And you're
Yeah.
like, Tricia, honestly, like whatever he
You're
has for you to
okay.
do, he
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
still,
Yeah.
he can still do it. So yeah, so that's
I think that's a perfect like segue to the next question I'm going to ask
Mhm.
you. But well, I'll just ask it. My next question that I want to ask you is those detours that you took to get to where you are now, because like
Yeah.
you said, you're working in ministry now, you're a pastor now. The detours that you took to get there, what kind of lesson can you pull from those detours to share with somebody else that may meet a detour that maybe they're
Mhm.
just at that place where they thought they were going one way and it's actually something else.
Mhm.
Like, how do you manage that?
I would say it's perfectly okay to cry, scream, throw a little temper tantrum,
Yeah.
like whatever you need to do to get it out of you. I think that's totally fine.
Yeah.
I have done many of those, and but and honestly, I know it sounds so cliche to like hold on hope,
Yeah.
but I really feel like that is how you manage through these
Yeah.
detours, right?
Yeah.
It's just that hope for a better thing, for that thing, that dream that God gave you, just that hope to hold on to it, knowing that it is going to happen because he's a
Yeah.
trustworthy God,
He
right?
is,
Like
yes.
we'd say so many things and I'm like, like we had a church barbecue on Sunday and I told someone I would bring them a portobello mushroom because they were vegetarian and I totally forgot. And so it's sort of like, here I am telling someone and I'm like, yeah, but that's not God. Like if he says he's going to do it, he's going to do
He's
it.
gonna
So
do it.
just
Yeah.
relax.
Yeah.
And, I would say definitely speak to your soul and tell your soul to bless him regardless of what you see.
Yeah. I think that's amazing. I think that's really great advice. I'm thinking about a part in the book where, and you just reminded me of it, where I don't know if you remember where I talked about the abandoned cart.
Yes.
And for those of you who haven't read the book, I was just talking about, I did some online shopping and I put some stuff in a cart and I didn't purchase it because I have buyer's remorse, like an extreme case of buyer's remorse. So I buy things and return them all the time, or I just don't like to spend the money, period. But so I put it in the cart and I didn't purchase it and I left the website.
Mm-hmm.
And then a year later, I didn't even remember that this website existed, but I did a cold search and came up on this website and there was stuff sitting in the cart. So I'm like, why is there stuff in my cart? Are they trying to scam me? Like, is someone trying to take my money?
Yeah.
I went to the cart and I saw everything that I had put in the cart the year prior.
Right.
And when I saw it, I remembered, oh, wait, this is the stuff that I put in the cart. But I used that analogy to say that God, like, we abandon carts, but God doesn't abandon carts the way we do. And so he sets his plans for us and his plans remain his plans for us, no matter what detours we take, no matter what, no matter how we mess up, because sometimes we mess up.
Absolutely.
But it's like his cart just sits there. And even if we come back a year from now, by God's grace, if we still have breath in our body, we come back a year from now or 2 years from now, that cart is still there. And I think that's such a wonderful thing about God. Listen, we're going to take a quick little break. I'm enjoying this time with my Tricia. We're going to take a quick little break and come right back.
Purchase your copy of A Pocket Full of Hope by Ayesha Daniels on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Indigo Books, iTunes, Walmart, and wherever books and ebooks are sold. A Pocket Full of Hope was written for anyone who is desperate to find the light and the presence of hope when life feels dark and empty. Through 31 days of anecdotes, Ayesha will make you smile, laugh, and cry. You will have the tools to motivate and encourage yourself to get up when life weighs you down, see the potential for change in any situation, and teach others how to do the same. Grab your copy of A Pocket Full of Hope by Ayesha Daniels.
All right, here we are back again. Thank you so much to my husband / producer who puts together these great little commercial clips for us. But listen, to reiterate, if you don't yet have a copy of A Pocket Full of Hope for When Your Pocket is Empty, please get yourself a copy. You can get it anywhere online books are sold. You can even get the ebook version. Get yourself a copy, get someone else a copy, and then go back and leave a review so that someone else who's doing a cold search can see that this book is a blessing and can be a blessing to them too. Okay, so please get a copy of the book. I really hope and pray it blesses you. And when you get it, tag me online on my socials, tag me, let me know what your favorite part is, let me know what your favorite quote is, anything. Just talk back to me, all right? Thank you so much. Tricia. What is the hardest, would you say, is the hardest thing about, because we're talking about hope, and here's the thing, we talk about it, you grow up in church, we talk about faith, we talk about hope, and like you said earlier, sometimes it feels a little cliche-ish, although it is what we really sincerely believe, it starts to feel a little cliche-ish, and so for other people who might not have that hope or that faith, sometimes it may make it seem like this is easy peasy.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? And it's not, it's not easy peasy. So what would you say is the hardest part about hope? Like, how would you explain that?
Well, I like, for me, the hardest part of hope, because most of the things I hope for, there's a waiting period. And that waiting is that's the worst part, right? So even though you're saying bless the Lord, oh my soul, and you're doing all these things, like that period, especially for people who I love to know what's happening next. Like, I don't thrive.
I know this.
I don't thrive on last minute. I need to know, what's happening. And so that's the hardest part for me, the waiting. But I heard this one thing where it's like, imagine waiting, not necessarily that you're waiting on a bus or that you're waiting for something, but like you're waiting a table. And so if you think about the restaurants that you go to where you have the best service, it's usually because the server's really attentive. Like, she gets that water right as soon as you sit, and she replenishes that pop when it's done, right? Or if you put something to the end, she clears it off. And if you think about that, like, that's like really excellent waiting service, right? And so this thing that I read, it was just like, when during your periods of waiting, do that for Jesus, right? Just look for the signs, spend time with him, be able to like look at his every move. It's almost like that bridesmaid with a bride, right? It's sort of like, she's gonna cry, so you get the tissue.
You have the tissue, like, text well,
yeah. Some of us aren't like well endowed with that, so it's like, let's just get it in the purse,
right.
So it's like you know those cues, you know those signals, but you can only know them after you spend a lot of time. And so that's how I say, the waiting, I think it takes that edge off of like, I'm waiting for this bus to come and it's not coming. Like 1,000 others have come by and it's like midnight and mine still isn't here. But look at it as you're waiting on a table, right? You're waiting on God, and you're just enjoying the time that you do have with him.
And serving too, right?
Yes.
Because that's a big part of it. And that's even what you said you did, during that time when you were waiting, you found ways to serve in the children's ministry.
No, not in the children's ministry.
Sorry. In the children's room.
There were no children around when I was there.
No children were harmed during Tricia's tenure.
Or Tricia wasn't harmed by anything.
Right. But you found ways to serve while you were waiting. And I think sometimes waiting can be hard, but if we can occupy ourselves. Isn't that a scripture? Occupy yourselves until I come. Like, if we can occupy ourselves with things in service to God and in service to others, it kind of takes the sting a little bit off of that thing that we're waiting on.
You're not focused on it.
You're not focused on it.
It's like, they say a watch pot never boils, right?
There
it's
you go.
Like, you're waiting for it, and it's like, But
How do they say that in Trinidad? A watch pot never
a watch
boils.
pot never boils.
What would
Probably
be
a little
the-
more singy. I have to like honestly be around Trinidadians for it to come out. It just doesn't come out that way anymore.
Okay, we'll give you a little time to work on that one. But yeah, I think I would agree with you that waiting is definitely the tough part. So, for those of you who are tuned in and you're maybe in your waiting period, whatever it is you're waiting on God for, find ways to occupy yourself in serving. Take the focus off of your need and put it on somebody else's need. Put it on somebody else's need. And I think sometimes when we do that, we often will see that our situation is not as grand.
Right.
Things could always be worse.
Yeah.
Things could always be better, but things could always be worse. And so, like you said earlier on, in all things, we can still have gratitude and give thanks. And I think that's how to do it, by serving and occupying ourselves. So, having said all of that, let's take a little break. We're at our halfway mark. I'm gonna play a little game with you. Oh my gosh! I know you were like, please no. I was just like,
I need a lot of notice for anything I'm gonna do, and here we are, no notice.
Well, the game that I wanted to do probably would have been a little tougher. So you should be happy that this is real life. Okay. We have been playing like a version of this with all of our guests, but it's Would You Rather, and it's just really
okay.
They're just really light. I feel like I know the answer to most of these, but they're really
hold
light.
on, guys. I didn't put my lid on properly, but this is my hope.
There you go.
Oh, how does that when it
rains, it does always pour. What does that mean, Trish?
Yeah, that's the whole attitude. That's the whole looking for things in gratitude, right? It's like, it's raining. And you said it so great on your intro, like your book launch day. It was like, it's such a thing that we say, but no, it doesn't always.
It doesn't
right?
Always
I think that's what they say in therapy, right? They're like, does it always happen? Or does it happen like 1% of the time?
Keywords, therapy, keywords, yes. That's so good. Okay, so this is going to be like a varied version of Would You Rather, okay? Okay. And they're real light, folks. So, real light. Okay. Would you rather have bad breath or smelly feet?
Smelly feet.
Smelly feet?
Yeah.
Really?
Because my feet are so low down and I'm so short. Like everybody's like so far. What about you? You would be bad breath? You've got
no,
me
you
so
know
concerned.
what? I think we're probably because I probably would just keep my shoes on. I'm getting a look here from the husband producer. He's like,
I was like,
Okay. Would you rather fight 1,000 ant-sized bulls, or one bull-sized ant? Told you these are real light.
I feel like one bull-sized ant.
Yeah.
It feels like
you feel like you can handle it?
Yeah, that feels like less.
It's totally the opposite for me. Like the thought of 1,000 little ants or big ants or anything. No, I feel like I'm already in like running mode. No, I cannot.
But you have to fight it.
No, can't do that. Okay. Would you rather live forever with an eyelash in your eye or spinach in your teeth?
Oh my gosh, spinach in my teeth.
Yeah.
Death by eyelash is not fun.
It's not fun, especially, I wear contacts. So contacts, like you have an eyelash in your eye when you have contacts, you literally feel like you're being stabbed in the eye. It's the worst. So I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you on that one. Okay. I feel like I know the answer to this one, but I want you to give us a why. Or you all tuned in may have already known the why to this because you've already had a glimpse of her personality. But would you rather only be able to whisper or only be able to shout? You can only pick one. Whisper or shout?
I feel like this is one where we should write it down because I want to know what you would say. So I need paper.
Here you go. Here you go.
I just don't want Ayesha changing her because she's very competitive.
I know.
I would say something.
You can write it, and I'm gonna type it.
And then she would. I'm gonna her mind.
This is what I think that you would rather do.
Okay.
or maybe what I think you would be able to do. Okay, ready?
Okay, ready? I said whisper, and she should shout. You think I would rather shout?
I think you could not help yourself. I think you would want to whisper, like, I have to whisper for the rest of my life, but I just cannot right now.
Okay, here's why I chose whisper. I feel like when you have to whisper, you lean in more. And it's sort of like you really get people's attention. Like, think about the kids.
See, I didn't know you were going to go deep with it.
When you're yelling at them, it's like, they're like, whatever. She always does this. She always does this.
Yeah.
But then whisper. So definitely whisper. I want people to listen.
Since you went deep with it, I'll accept that as an answer. I still feel like I'm a little bit more right, but okay. Would you rather only be able to watch one show for the rest of your life, or only be able to watch the first episode of any show for the rest of your life?
Yeah, definitely the first episode of any show.
Okay.
I can't, I get bored really easily.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like,
I can see that one. Would you rather stub your toe or have a paper cut?
Oh, stub my toe, I think. Yeah, stub my toe. Final answer.
Oh, final answer. Okay, this one is good because I know you kind of did something the other day that might lean into one of these. But would you rather have to hunt for everything you eat, or eat only McDonald's for every meal?
Oh my gosh.
Now, don't be fooled by the tiny frame, people. We have in our presence an absolute, like, legitimate foodie.
Legend.
So
yeah, even just today I was at church and I was talking to one of the other pastors. I was like, my favorite Bible verse, John 21:12. Is it John 21:12? Where Jesus said, "Come have breakfast."
Yeah.
Like, I feel like so many people miss that part of the Bible. They remember Jesus wept, but not come have breakfast.
Yes.
Anyway, okay.
That was when he was on after they came back from fishing and he was on the shore, and he already had breakfast prepared for them. That is your dream.
That's my dream. It's like I am living my life for Jesus to make me breakfast.
So, would you rather hunt or have McDonald's?
Okay, so even though I eat a lot, I kind of tend to eat like healthy food. I could not do McDonald's every day.
No, absolutely not.
So I would have to figure out a way of enjoying hunting.
Yeah. And you went fishing the other day.
I did.
There's your start right there. I can't believe you have a dog.
Okay, yeah.
And I can't believe you went fishing.
Okay, so you have to understand the fishing. It was literally somebody went down and they were like, okay, good, the fish are out. Like, he put the worm on the reel and he gave me the rod and he was like, do this. I did that. And then he's like, tug up. I tugged up and there was a fish. I didn't even
So you didn't touch the worm?
Not
okay. This is making more sense.
Yeah,
you didn't tell me that the first time. This is
why
making.
Would I tell you that I went fishing is so much more interesting.
This is making more sense now. Okay. I'm going to give you two. We're going to pick two more.
Okay.
Would you rather be forced to sing along to every song that you hear, or be forced to dance along to every song that you hear?
Dance.
Most definitely.
Most definitely. Like, I don't know. My boys, they've got a little older, so dance parties are not really, like, they don't like to have that with me. But before I cook dinner, we would always all dance as a family.
That's
in
so
the
amazing.
kitchen.
I love it. I love your family traditions. I've learned from you. Oh, that's amazing. Okay. Now this one is kind of fun. This one I can't share like why I think this is hilarious. This has to remain a little bit of an inside joke. So I apologize for those of you online. But would you rather speak only in a baby voice for a day? Or only be spoken to in a baby voice for a day? Now, I know how much you love hearing people speak in a baby voice.
Oh my gosh, they are both equally horrible.
Horrible.
Like, I would rather die than any of those things.
Okay, point taken. No. We will wrap the game on that. That is hilarious. Oh my goodness. Trish, I'm so glad that you're here.
I'm so glad to be here.
This is honestly, guys, this is like just a snapshot of our like regular conversations where we just laugh and talk about like the most insane things. And we've been planning to do something like this for a long time and we haven't been able to do that. So thank God for Hope Talks. This is great.
This is like Oprah and Gail 2.0.
Yes, the Canadian version. Our producer's like
younger. No.
Okay.
Diamond and Silk.
We're working.
That's for the American viewers. Guys, you gotta search up Diamond and Silk.
Yes, we are like no to Diamond and Silk. Okay. Can we, producer husband, can we see some pictures of Tricia's family? Because I think it's important that they see, that our audience sees the wonderful Robert Wright.
There he is. He's so handsome. Honestly, he's honestly the reason why our marriage works.
Oh.
If it wasn't him, it would be a disaster.
No, but that honestly, that is okay. Can we park there for 1 second? Because you're joking, but at the same time, it's like, and I think this could be a good nugget for those who are tuned in who are single. It is a good nugget to like, it works because there's balance, right?
Yeah.
He brings that balance in, and like the stuff
throw
that
it out.
Right. Exactly. Bottom line is let God choose for you. Oh,
Yes.
look at the boys. There's Isaiah and Noah.
Yes.
And so this little lady here beside me is the mom of teenagers. And that is so amazing. Oh my goodness.
They always look at me like that, like I'm crazy.
Yeah, and they're towering over you.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, so oh my goodness. Do you remember this?
Yes,
I remember this.
This what was this planned?
This was not planned.
This wasn't planned.
We were on vacation in Florida.
Yes.
And you were like on a connecting flight.
No.
Or were you there?
I was coming to Florida.
Okay. So we were leaving and you were coming. And we were at the airport at the same time. And it just happened to be your birthday.
We hadn't seen each other in so long, right? Because you were living in Washington. And it was like, where
are you?
Gosh.
Oh, I'm in Florida. Where are you in Florida? I'm at the airport. What do you mean? I'm at the airport.
And I feel like, but also, BJ, can you put that back up? I feel like I was holding a bag, right?
Yes.
And
because I brought you a gift.
She brought me a gift. Yes. Guys, if you don't know, like the start of Ayesha and my relationship, like we met on her birthday, which was Canada Day, July 1st. And every time she would always bring me presents on her birthday. So I'm honestly the worst. I'm the worst friend. I don't even know why she's like,
you're the best. No, but it's true. But I like giving little presents.
Well, so do I. And I brought you something.
Are you serious?
Yes, I did. I brought you something.
Oh, you're such a surprise.
I bought you this because number one,
really?
Yes. She's like, I can't even believe that.
So now you're gonna make me cry.
I bought you this, and you have to open it for your audience because I am so proud of you.
Oh my God.
I'm so proud of you. Like, I think over the last couple years, like you have really shown a level of resilience and tenacity. And, even finishing this book, I always say that my girlfriend says, praise is my therapy. And you, Ayesha, you have embodied all of those things. Everything you write in this book is true. And so that's why I think this book is so great. It's so much from the heart. And I remember to bring a present so you can open it.
You really want me to open it? Open it? Oh my gosh, thank you so much. How did you, you've been here for a while now. I didn't even see this little bag. Oh my goodness. Oh wow, Trish,
so
thank you.
I must ask, do you have a Pandora bracelet?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I haven't worn it in a while. Now I'm gonna have to wear it.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's a cross, an anchor, and a heart. I don't know if you all can see that.
And the anchor represents hope.
Yes.
Right? And so this is a little gift for your first book of many. And I'm just a proud friend, guys.
Did you guys plan that with the picture and everything?
No, we didn't. Honestly, we didn't.
Thank you so much. You're the best. Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay.
Compose yourself.
Yes. Let's get back to hope. Get back to hope. But I do love gift giving, and I love gift receiving. So thank you so much. Okay. So back to hope. Why hope? We talked about the difficulties in waiting. We started the conversation with when you trust God and you pray to God for something and it doesn't turn out the way that you expect it to turn out. We've talked about the disappointment, like the initial disappointment when like something hits you out of the blue that you didn't expect. So with all of that, why hope?
Mm-hmm. I would say because without hope, what do we have?
Yeah.
Right? It's sort of like our lives would be so meaningless without hope. It's like,
Yeah.
what are we even living for? What are we
Yeah.
even like doing?
Yeah.
And so I feel like hope because we have to,
Yeah.
because it's what's expected of us, and because it's always going to work out to be what's best for us.
Yeah. Because God is in it, right?
Yeah.
I think and that's something that I haven't, it's funny because you say that and I think about it. I haven't said it in a long time, but it was something that BJ and I used to talk about. And I think with the current climate, you know, the world, the pandemic and everything the world is facing
Mhm.
right now, it's most applicable. But something that we used to say all the time is, you know, we are holding on to hope. We are holding on to faith. We are trusting God. And that's what we have.
Yeah.
And for people who don't have that, what are you doing?
Right.
Like, how are you making it? What is pushing you to get up and go every day? What is pushing you
Yeah.
to, like, you know, just hang in there?
Yeah.
Because I know for me, it is, like you said, the fact that I know that God's plan for me is good.
Yeah.
The fact that I know that even if it spins out of my control, it's still in
Mhm.
his control. You know, hope is my option, right?
Mhm.
And so, yeah, for those who don't have that relationship with God and who don't know what it is to trust in this big God that
Mhm.
has the world and everything in it in his hands, you know, I think I would encourage you today to get to know him.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it's better than not knowing him.
So
It's better
better.
than not having an option. It's better than not having direction.
Yeah.
Even let's just say we were completely wrong. Let's just say, you know, this whole God thing was like way out left field. Like we
Yeah.
just missed it completely. At least in this life, we've
Oh my
had
gosh.
some level of peace.
Yeah, absolutely.
And contentment.
Right.
And Jesus said he came that we would have life and have life more abundantly. We've had abundant life.
Yeah.
You know, even if we got it wrong, and I know we didn't get it wrong,
Yeah.
because we see him in everything every day.
Exactly.
But even if we got it wrong, you know,
We've still, yeah. I mean, like, just think about the peace that we have, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think about those who are hopeless, because they don't know who they can rest their hope in, and they aren't happy, right?
Yeah.
They're probably medicated or
Yeah.
something, or just, you know,
Yeah.
whatever it is. I think they face so much in life, but that sense of hope and our hope in Jesus
Yeah.
just makes it all different.
Absolutely. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, that's so good. I want you to we talked a little bit about it when I introduced you, but can you tell us about 100 Black
Yeah.
Parents?
So, I mean, 100 Black Parents was really born out of my desire to help. So, I started working with Urban Promise Toronto, which is a fabulous organization, faith-based charity that caters to Toronto community housing neighborhoods. So they're neighborhoods where they're largely they're priority neighborhoods, right? And so my thought was, how do I get people aware of these different organizations? Like, because I had no idea about Urban Promise before I started working, and there are so many others like them. How can I make people aware of this? And we are all giving to some level to some organization, right? Like, we give to church, we give to different charities, we support different initiatives, but how can I highlight these things to people? And so 100 Black Parents was born out of that. It's really like finding 100 Black parents who care. And once we find that, actually, we're even moving ahead before we find 100. I think we're like at about 50 something, which is great. The thought about it is that we, every quarter, choose a charity, and every person who's signed up gives $100 to that quarter. So, I mean, if we were to have 100 parents sign up, then the first charity would get like $10,000, right?
Yeah.
10,000? Did I do that math right?
I think so.
Yeah. Producer?
Someone will tell us in the chat if we got that math wrong, but that
100.
was right.
Yeah. $10,000. $10,000.
Yeah.
I'm marketing, not numbers. So
I am.
yeah.
But that's embarrassing. Go ahead.
So yeah, and so that's it. It's just imagine that lump sum to this charity can mean to them, because like Urban Promise, for example, we're faith-based. So we proclaim Jesus in everything that we do. And that may prevent some grants for coming in. Like God always works things out, praise God. But that might prevent different like things where you can't do certain things in order to get funding. And so really it was born out of that. And so we're starting in October. So October is our first we're going to do a virtual meetup, probably by email or Zoom. We'll do a little survey to see how people want to meet, but we will be choosing one charity and then just encouraging everyone on their own to give to that charity and get back to us and let us know so that we can say to that charity, we had 6 people give $100 to you. And we'll be doing that on a quarterly basis.
I think this is amazing, Trish. And this is brand new, folks. I want to encourage anyone who's tuned in to please check it out. The IG handle is on the screen. You can also go to the website, 100blackparentswhocare.com, 100blackparentswhocare.com. But when you think about it, we're talking about giving $100 every quarter for a year. That's $400 for 1 year that can impact an organization that that needs it, that supports, distressed neighborhoods, at-risk youth, all of these things in a positive way. And so I want to encourage you to get involved. It's brand new. It's on Trisha's heart. She woke up one day and there it was. And like within days, she had already got the website, the flyers, everything. She's a go-getter, folks. She's on the ball, and I encourage you to join in on this initiative. Can you please, because we're running out of time. Our producer's telling us we have 8 minutes. I want you to share one final
from the book.
Well, it can be anything. One final thought. But before you do that, I just also want to say I'm so proud of you. Because you have managed to, like you said it earlier, we didn't necessarily think that Tricia was going to be a pastor.
I'm still shocked at it myself. I think even my lead pastor is shocked sometimes.
Right. But you've managed to take like your detours that we talked about. You've managed to take your waiting period. You've managed to take your experiences that Noah prayed for and you being at home for a while, all of these things. And you've managed to now start this organization, do all of these things to just continue to give of yourself and to move with God and to go in the direction that God is calling you in. And I think I just want to tell you that I'm proud of you and I love you.
I feel like I knew that though. I'm like, you're always proud of me. Honestly, Ayesha is the best friend. So on that note, I will tell you what my favorite chapter was. My favorite chapter was chapter 14, Exhausted. Not only because everything that Ayesha has described in here, from her itchy body, from exercising, I too have experienced. Honestly,
it's an allergy. I felt like I felt like I was allergic to exercise.
It's the blood that's circulating that feels. But I too have experienced that. Anyway, so I really love this chapter. And I think the part I love about it most is that, Moses is kind of one of my favorite people. Like I feel like he's the character in him and Paul, because I'm a little crazy. But Moses, because he's like, he grew up like being taught business. And then also, so I think that just sort of aligns with me. But I feel like this, where Moses, his hands got tired and he had the help to lift it up. And I feel like for me, that's like, hope is great, but sometimes we need to get around people who can affirm our faith and encourage us. Because I remember those days that I was home, even though I make it sound really easy, there was some really low points. I remember calling you being like, Ayesha, I don't know what to do. And like, you would never tell me what to do, but you would listen to me.
You're like, you never tell me what to do.
You would listen to me and you would totally like talk me down the ledge or like show me another way. And so I think this is so great because the one point is like, hope lets us know that when we're exhausted, God will give us the strength. Sometimes he sends it through the helping hands of others. And so I want to thank you for that. But I also want to say that he can really only do that if we're vulnerable and if we create space to have those, I've had it, I don't know what to do, moments in relationship that person can speak life into us and encourage us.
Yes, that is so good. Thank you so much. Create space and be vulnerable with God. And God will put people in your life that you can be
Absolutely.
vulnerable with as well.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you to pray, Trish. I'm going to ask you to pray for those who are tuned in that just need that, you pray however you feel led, that need that, that extra jolt that we've been talking about. Please be attentive to this prayer. But I also want to let you all know that next week will be our final episode of Hope Talks for this season, for season 1.
Whoa,
yes!
That's amazing.
It has been so fantastic. But listen, next week is going to be, having Trish here is fantastic, like through the roof. Fantastic for me. Next week is going to be fantastic again, because next week is going to be the husband edition.
Honestly,
so my husband BJ is going to join me right here for Hope Talks. It's going to be real. We're going to get into some good conversation. You're going to get to be a part of our private conversations. We're going to share with you from our hearts, and it's going to be a good time. So please mark your calendars to tune in next Thursday, right here.
Friday, right?
Thursday.
Friday. Yeah.
Friday?
This
Friday.
thing says Thursday, but it's Friday.
Friday.
Sorry,
I'm
our
so
producer,
sorry.
it's coming down to the end of the show. We'll allow him.
We'll allow him. Yes. I'm so sorry. It's not Thursday. It is Friday. You don't want to know what he's telling us off screen right now, but it's going to be Friday. Follow me on IG. Follow my Facebook page, Ayesha Speaks. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you'll get the notification, but it will be next Friday. Trish, I'm going to ask you to pray. Just pray as you feel led for anyone who's tuned in right now.
Father, I pray for everyone who's listening presently and those who will be listening after. God, I pray that for those who need a reminder that you are there, I pray, God, that you will meet them right where they need. I pray that they will have an encounter with you in supernatural ways and also very natural ways. It might be something they come across on the internet or a friend who calls. I pray, God, that your message of hope and that tangibleness of your presence will be felt by anyone who needs it, God. And I pray that you touch everyone. I thank you for Ayesha. And God, I just pray that you will continue to birth in her messages and encouragement and just innovative mediums that she can share your gospel to people everywhere. In Jesus' name.
And
Amen.
I pray for Trish now, Lord. I pray that as she's poured out and shared from her heart, that you would bless her, that you would continue to use her and her family to be a beacon of light, to serve and bless others. I pray that you would continue to open doors for all of them, God. I pray that your favor would continue to rest on them. I pray for this initiative for 100 Black Parents Who Care. I pray that, God, you would give it the power that it needs to drive forward, God. I just pray for everything that she puts her hands to, Lord, that it would be blessed. I thank you now for what you're doing in her life. Continue to use her for your glory, God. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
Amen. And we are out of time. Please remember to get a pocket full of hope. If you don't have a copy already, please get one. You can Google Ayesha Daniels, A Pocket Full of Hope, and a bunch of options will come up that you can use to purchase this book. Please, it will be a blessing to you. Bless somebody else with it. Leave a review. Talk back to me. Tag me online. Tag Trish online. You know where to find her. Did you post? Yes, he posted your information. Follow Trish online. Reach out to her. She'll be free to answer any questions and chit chat with you. Listen, we love you so much. So much for tuning in. Please take a moment and share this with somebody so that they too can be blessed and join in the conversation. Thank you so much. Hope Talks episode 7 wrapped. We love you. Bye-bye.